tossing grenades at Windmills Podcast.
Welcome to the Tossing Grenades at Windmills podcast. I'm Tom Ricks / Rhombus Ticks / Emmit Other, and I'm going to be reading 8 poems for you today that I put up on an app called Poeticizer, which is very much fun and lets you see some great poetry and is a good way for me to get some of my poems out there. Conjunction. Kronos and Zeus battling it out again in the heavens, 800 years past. Mirage of mythology, panoply to the steely naked eye, book-ending the year of chaos. Aquarius hosting the galactic affair, drowned in a glory of stars. Stars we cannot see due to the pollution of light. One era ends, another begins. The golden age is ours, if we but claim it. Fire was stolen once. Let's steal it again and go up and join them. Is that a really good idea? By Emmit Other. I see a future, 1,000 years from now, where we are but a myth. Our seeds are scattered to the stars. Pan-human missive zeal from one colony to another, and the blink of an eye by quantum entanglement. The line between flesh and steel blurs, and Earth is lost, only to be found again. Earth herself, our cradle, reduced to a rancid Venus hothouse. Our re-explorers are saddened, but their sorrow turns to horror, as the only life in the solar system is a never-ending cave complex deep beneath the surface of Mars. Bat-eyed mole men slink and slime around, living on roaches and spiders and centipedes. Sapient enough to know horror, but with no record of how they came to be. Leon's stink has cursed the Martians to 1,000,000 years of evolutionary horror, just so he could die with a feather in his cap. His grinning skeleton beaming down on the ruin of his colony, orbiting in his car, with his hand on the wheel, stellar wind in the final strand of its vacuum-preserved hair. Lord of the empire of Morlock horror that pan-humanity leaves and never visits again. To My Beloved, by Emmit Other. The stars burn eternal, but also with envy for thee, envoy of kindness, sentinel for all creatures great and small, keeper of lore, organizer of archives, solver of puzzles, patroness of the arts, fashionista appreciator, fellow traveler to exotic and distant lands. We roam the earth, but in some ways this cursed year was blessing, more time with thee. Glory and amber we made the hourglass stopper. In thine eyes I see my best self. Merry Christmas, most beloved. Saving Christmas, parentheses, again, by Emmit Other. There is power in belief, but so few consider the consequences. Such reckless belief might make Santa and his reindeer fly. You might not even mind the Krampus, revived by a raft of Christmas horror movies. But now the existential Christmas dilemma is part of the mythology. Like Mr. Magoo, Santa needs constant saving. His head stuck in a bucket, or jail, or kidnapped by Martians, or trapped in an office complex during an elaborate heist in Nakatomi Plaza. Like Camelot being invaded by every rando and his Aunt Matilda. Incompetent Santa needs constant help. It makes Christmas ours, democratizing the medical distribution of presents. Though by now the sleigh smells like a used restroom in a back of fucking Beyond. The elves really can't get the smell out. So when you see Santa with his neck stuck in a plastic 6-ring beer holder, by all means help the poor bastard out. But let him do his job. Poor man has self-esteem issues. Let Christmas save itself for once. This too shall pass, by Emmit Other. Entropy is constant, the great objective truth, but that doesn't speed our perception of the darkest of times. Hour compounded on hour, till the longest night seems the darkest year. Time is the slayer of everything, but only experience is a balm against how it seems. Darkness will return, darkness will recede. But today we got a vaccine against forgetting in the pit that there is something more, that light exists, even when we cannot see it. This too shall pass. Prince Polonium by Emmit Other. All over Russia, patriots protest evil. Twitter talks about swatches. Do you know how hard it is to protest in minus 30-degree weather? This dark shadow across the world, this nepotistic freak, the father of the axis of fascism, patron saint of illiberal democracy and conservative lies. One man stands up to him, balls of steel, and the dark lords of Silicon Valley distract you with cat videos. Gross beyond gross. Awkward Duck Walk by Emmit Other. Cut off by vicious family member who now shows empathy. Glassnose is tempting, but draining, and since she started it, it feels intrusively random. Hope for the best, plan for the worst. It is as draining to reply as anything I have ever done. It is in my interest and others' interest to be kind, and I will be, but I will never forget, and will be prepared this time. There will never be a third wound. And finally, Robin Hood This by Emmit Other. Cocaine cowboys woke up to find someone had dropped a little acid in their powdered donuts. A montage of cackling chaos, a plethora of well-intended goons set on vengeance for 2008. Riding ostriches like Joust, mechanized armor made of pizza boxes, stormtrooper made of crushed beer cans, a battering ram bought on Amazon, with a bent front half, the rabble storming the electric Bastille. Under a marmalade sky, Lucy's diamonds lull. The masters of the universe finding their shorts jammed down their maw, slobbering jowls of eternal hunger, propped open with glued toothpicks and papier-mâché medical bills from COVID. An ever-streaming note of stocks worth nothing, choking them with rage long past overdue. This is no Occupy. This is reckoning. This has been the Tossing Grenades at Windmills podcast. Buy my book, Have Name Will Travel, at Amazon and other markets. RedAnvilCreative.com contains all our podcasts. Copyright 2021.
To fight the forces of evil!
Welcome to the Tossing Grenades at Windmills Podcast.
Welcome to the Tossing Grenades at Windmills podcast. I am Tom Ricks / Rhombus Ticks / Emmit Other. And this is another episode where I'm going to read some of the poetry I put on Poetizer, starting with this one. Tulip Mania by Emmit Other. I ran for the tulips so fast, tears in my eyes. Everyone would have them, everyone but me. I would do anything, be anything, say anything, just for the sweet, juicy, perfect, incredible, valuable, necessary, needful, got to have tulips. Or I could just keep my wits about me and not be a sheep. Duh. Petty Karma by Emmit Other. I want to believe in beautiful karma, that some giant, bony, invisible hand ticks off points like the good place, or better, some kind of karmic balance in this life or the next. But the cosmic toxic Muppet muggle that decides to make me her work project, who whisper-list her anti-moxie dribble-gibble, flippering, flabbering, peppery tribble, liquid farts in vocal form, her puking flukes in sentence gorm, proves to me with wicked breath of heaven's mist and angel death that this person who needs a gremlin smack to the back of her knobbish head, not demanding meteors or gasoline trucks or broken knees on banana peels, just a torpid, curled, nasty sandwich with her least favorite ingredient that she eats halfway through as she lords her pseudo-intellect over her family, or something of that vein. Anyway, it was an interesting week at work. Arsonist by Voyeurism by Emmit Other. Taking away the gasoline from the match-lighting pyromaniac child who wants to watch the world burn while standing by, twiddling your thumbs, content with the world, the fat, happy apostle at the Last Supper, ignoring the shaking of the world around you, while all around you gremlin goblins in human form set up the bonfire of the earth, and all the kindling therein, and draw you a bulleted PowerPoint, an ancient treasure map with a big red X, saying, here on 1/6/2021, I am going to make the world burn, makes you an arsonist by voyeurism. Climate Rape by Emmit Other. We can pretend that the very concerned white men, being howler monkeys in hearings for the first Native American Interior Secretary, but it would be moronic, stupid, wrong, indulgently ghoulish. These oil and gas companies reach into Mother Earth, pull out her blood, churn it as poison into our skies, thrust it into our lungs with a pitched fondue fork, melt the poles for a quick buck, kill other sapient species on the planet, these non-human brothers who know they are alive, and do not have voice as these toxic agents of filth chortle and harumph and act very concerned about jobs for rural meth MAGA America. Pardon if I don't give a fuck for your MAGA feelings. I did not consent to the destruction of our world for your goddamn SUV. A Little Bit Every Day by Emmit Other. Little things in your love language, life by 1,000 cuts, show me you love me, and I bask in your kindness and affection. The sexual permutations of your magnificent body, that I love to compose symphonies with my hands, with your flesh as strings. Moans of validation that you are there, and your desire is very real. I love you in all the big and little ways that show me you are mine and I am yours. Debate with a Spaghetti Strainer by Emmit Other. You act like this is a rational debate. You use terms like tutoke, straw man, logical fallacy, ad nauseum, lol, excuse me. We live in a world where 73 million Americans said yes to ice cream makes machines work better, scoop it right in, for President 2020. And then, when a murder riot happened, the leader said Antifa, so Antifa. And you stand up in your ivory tower and pretend we can reason with the Mad Hatter, and that we should appoint the March Hare to a bipartisan commission to form a committee on who shall bail the cat. Meanwhile, both-sider centrists babble, gibbering mouthers spew on television Sunday talk shows about how Democrats don't use lemon-soaked paper napkins when the lace doilies were clearly the wrong color papier-mâché. Enabling fascism by inaction is still enabling fascism. And centrists and pearl-clutching both-siders have lost all moral authority, follow or get out of the way. But you couldn't lead your way out of a paper bag. America is drowning. Stop playing the victim while you are standing on her chest. The West Cannot Save Us by Emmit Other. The chasms of the West call me, the mountains where I was raised, the deserts and shadows of nature's splendor. A space between the East won't understand. You have to be there. You have to see. To understand why freedom is a virtue out West. But nature cannot trump nurture. The lies of slime that people drink into their souls blights the West in a thin coat of roach film. A few islands of blue and a sea of blood devil red, cackling ghouls plotting the end of democracy, killing the soul of America along the way. The West cannot save us, only dealing with the narcissist coal miner peacock who needs his pound of flesh. Only dealing with that slob will ensure elections for tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. Don't wait. There is less time than you think. This has been the Tossing Grenades at Windmills Podcast. Buy my book, Have Name Will Travel, at Amazon and other markets. RedAnvilCreative.com contains all our podcasts. Copyright 2021.
To fight the forces of evil!
Welcome to the Tossing Grenades at Windmills Podcast.
Welcome to the Tossing Grenades at Windmills Podcast. I am Emmit Other / Rhomnibus Ticks, and here are some poems. Team incompetent for the loss. Governor warmed over stale Wonder Bread, lost to a walking, talking, racist dog whistle. Centrists battling centrists in D.C. to see which lukewarm Pedialyte crap they can jam down our throats. Fingers doing the Nixon V for victory while actual fascism rears its ugly head. I am not running away. I am simply no longer helping Team Mr. Magoo. Old white men and old white Karens bore me to tears, and their fake concern about moonbeams while the most powerful man in the world twiddles his thumb and shrugs, "Who, me? If you needed me, you would act like it." Bye. Inertia of self. There is a well-worn bright line between hubris and confidence, and my embrace of trust and wisdom helps me see it. The demonic whispers of my past still tear me down with lies from time to time, but every passing day I recognize the awesomeness inside me, while still accepting and working on my flaws. It is going to be a down escalator. It always is. But after a few decades of doing it, my emotional legs reach Olympic proportions. And this is a good thing, this embrace of truth and self-truth, because it lets me see awesomeness in others, the real thing. Not seeing them as better than me, but that they are co-worthy. I can believe in you and believe in me too. I can recognize selfish ignorance and evil and see the best sides of myself and help others move towards that light as well. One step at a time. One step at a time. Ode to the sex bot that followed me now. Your stolen photo is quite hot. I used to flirt with sex bots when I had no self-esteem, and it amused me to see what nerds who scam you with their imaginary prince schemes would consider sexy. The electronic fan dance of responses, keyed to reply to anything I say, aroused when I mentioned I am having Fruit Loops for breakfast, or getting my oil change, or licking a toilet seat, all for a small deposit of $9.99 at this totally harmless, completely innocuous site. It's not you, quote, Emily, end quote. It's me. I've grown too sophisticated to be entertained by you anymore. Sorry. Blocked. Bye. Illegitimate farce. After the last Great War, we determined to never have another one. A place where nations could talk instead of shoot. And for decades it worked. Okay. The Security Council was garbage, but sometimes let keepers work when the big boys didn't have a dog in that fight, or stopping diseases with the WHO. Until Winnie the Pooh took over China, and suddenly truth is an embarrassment. The CCP let COVID fester for their pretty meeting, and millions have died. And now the garbage WHO, which doesn't and didn't want to offend China, re-elects the same garbage leader, who now skips the Greek letter Z to name the latest variant to avoid offending the glorious leader Pooh, has demonstrated it's time for the UN to go and be replaced by a World Democratic Forum. The UN needs to go away, metaphorically burned to the ground. Suntan Nazi Supreme with a side of fries. The leader of Stupid Stan, loyal to the former leader, who is also the leader forever and will smite you if you say otherwise, is a triumph of animated garbage. Empowered by lickspittles like no other, a state legislature that thinks fascism is fun, a national centrist press that kills whistleblowers, a legion of tech bros from Fuckbook and Cash App Friday the Bluebird, who look the other way when Nazis and Ruskies swarm. Oh, wait, stop, they say with bland voices without truth, and let the leader speak his lies with the thick syrup of evil. Jack took Trump's account so that DeSantis could push for his Bitcoin. And now Banana Republic Goebbels wants his own private army while Hobo Joe lets him, riding the rails without a care in the world. Shadow banned on Poetizer. Tech bros gonna be, whether it's Twitter for Bitcoin or using the N-word, the other N-word, to describe Bitcoin Mussolini, who will make their Dogecoins the national currency. They read it in Reddit somewhere. And if you can't believe Reddit, who can you believe? Thinking of you. Thousands of miles away, absence makes the heart grow fonder. It is only a week till you join me in the great city of brass and steel, of light and air, of steel and silicon. But I enjoy your company on the most normal of days, and the holidays always magnify it. I am not sad or lonely or wistful, but I enjoy everything about you, and will kiss you warmly when we meet again, sliding my tongue between your lips, and making you tingle with infinite power. School shooter challenge filth. This actually happened on actual TikTok, and actual schools were actually shut down. Sandy Hook was a bridge too far, but this proves lying should be illegal. And anyone who does anything like this should be in prison for the rest of their life. Zuckerberg needs to go, just like Jack slinked away. Social media is how the MAGA terrorists fester.
This has been the Tossing Grenades at Windmills podcast. Buy my book, Have Name Will Travel, at Amazon and other markets. RedAnvilCreative.com contains all our podcasts. Copyright
2022!
To fight the forces of evil!
Grenades at Windmills Podcast.
Welcome to Emmit's Corner. I am Rhomnibus / Emmit Other, and I'm going to be reading some poems for you today. Biden got a puppy, a very special episode. The laugh track isn't laughing. The Biden show is in its first season, and it feels like ninth. The writers lost the plot, so Biden adopts a puppy. Hilarious hijinks ensue. Hobo Joe, don't you know? They ain't buying what you're selling. Fix the ship, lest your ratings slip, and your apathy is telling. The puppy vomits and escapes while grumpy Uncle Mansion and the White House staff tells crazy lies to convince him what is in his shoe isn't puppy whiz. Hobo Joe, don't you know? They ain't buying what you're selling. Fix the ship, lest your ratings slip, and your apathy is telling. The writers went on strike. They know your voting rights words were hot air when you lied on student debt. You bet. They knew you were full of hot air. You better bet, Hobo Joe. Don't despair, Hobo Joe. You're still the most powerful man in the world. Do something. Don't. It's your move, Joe. Finding the Solstice Sinner. In that moment, when things are tense, when you are scattered, when you are lost, feel my embrace from behind. Feel me gently caress your thigh. Feel me blow gently in your ear, barely soft enough to feel, but enough to make your heart quicken and your chest swell and hum softly as I rub your neck, and you feel Mother Earth rise up from the core of the world and fill you with energy, positive light flooding into both of us, and you find your center, and all is well with the world. On a mission from God. To quote the right-wing meme, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help," is the most dangerous set of words in the English language, when it is in fact, "I am here from the Lord, and I'm here to help," followed only by, "for the children." There is nothing wrong with being spiritual or even religious, but not everyone wants to see your penis. Some are. They will let you know. Live every day Scrooged. Not just Christmas, that's a given. Love your fellow being. Be generous. Be kind. Be charitable. No, do more. Live every day as if your darkest future could come true. Shadows of what might be make you better. Make you your best. Live every day as if you just got screwed without a regret in the world. Darkness and light. The surreal realm of rainbow lights and tinsel splendor, for some hail an invisible gloom, invisible to the naked eye, yet a darkness blacker than midnight. Between the stars, behind the shadow of demon lords, it is a gnawing hunger, never sated as impossible expectations, of joy never received, a promise never lived up to, or worse, made lost due to shattered dreams, lost families, lost loves, lost hopes, lost homes, lost dreams. I can tell you that there is an end to this miasma, but it won't help you if trapped in it. But I can tell you that even though it seems like you are alone, though you cannot see it, touch it, taste it, much less feel it, you are not alone. I and others who have been here are with you, vigil by candlelight, helping as we can, one soul at a time. You are not alone, even when it feels that way. Any joy on this day is because of its imperfection. The burnt food, the insignificant fights, the poorly wrapped presents, the goofy treacle in movies. Find the imperfection and the joy therein. We are here. You are not alone. You are not alone, even though it seems so. Boxing Day is a coffin for Santa. It was 102 degrees at the North Pole, which means Santa's village is underwater. It means that the people who sneak on Santa's sleigh drown when they visit him. And without the annual insert person here who saves Christmas, Christmas is forced to rely on those who can afford it, not the poor. So if no one believes in it, Santa dies, put in a green and red coffin with a sprig of mistletoe and holly on top. Exxon killed Santa. The name is a lie. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints claims to be the Church of Jesus Christ, that their prophet literally is the only person authorized to speak for Christ on earth. Donald Trump Jr. says that the teachings of Christ are for suckers. He is a literal self-declared Antichrist, and LGS GQP are too busy condemning Reed, an actual Christian of their own faith, to notice or care. Gonna be a better year. No, 2021, not like you. Yes, you were a better year than 2020. That doesn't take much. We are not impressed. That's like taking the inverse of valedictorian, the dunce cap award of years. No, a real 20, like 1920, roiling 20s better, where people wise up after having their heads up their asses and actually listen to the smart and humble people who know what the fuck they are talking about. A year of power, a year of awesome, a year of the best you can be, a year of luck, a year of joy, a year of hope, a year of wonder, a year where the impossible happens in a good way.
This has been the Tossing Grenades at Windmills podcast. Buy my book, Have Name Will Travel, at Amazon and other markets. RedAnvilCreative.com contains all our podcasts. Copyright
2022!
To fight the forces of evil!
Welcome to the Tossing Grenades at Windmills Podcast.
Welcome to the Tossing Grenades at Windmills podcast. I am Rhomnibus, otherwise known as Emmit, and I'm here to read to you 8 poems in the segment of the podcast I'm calling Emmit's Corner. Vampire hunters hate New Year's Eve. Every year, there he was, the immortal Dark Lord, rocking away New Year's Eve, blood practically dripping from his fangs, laughing at you while you grow older. Every year, you would stake him. If you could just get to your walker, the Dark Lord! The Dark Lord! 2021 Can Die by Emmit. After finding out who died today, 2021 can shrivel up and die in a trash can, feasted on by roaches. 2022 Contract by Emmit. 2022 has taken out a contract to hire John Wick to kill 2021 for what it did to Betty White. He had already finished the job. The Stonecutters by Emmit. There is a remarkable video that makes fun of the Masons on The Simpsons that Homer joins called The Stonecutters. I am no mystical master, or at least not foolish enough to hang a sign on my door saying, "Please come waste my time," but I am in tune enough to the unseen world to know that any organization desperate enough to randomly reach out on social media, promising unearned wealth and mystical power, is this side of Pleasure Island, So even if there is a shred of mystic or earthly power there, you are food, not friend. To seemingly friendly Bruno and the rest of his band, all of whom are rich Nigerian princes, ask them. They will tell you that they have friends on the other side. See The Princess and the Frog from Disney for how that turned out. Happy Treasonversary by Emmit Other. You know the lame restaurant Happy Birthday tune? The flecks of foam from Maximum Flair, sad-eyed servers locked in public humiliation before it became the public domain in the soon-to-be former UK? The gunpowder plot will never be forgot in Merrickuth Frothtard land. We can't agree that the sun is up, much less that we need to shut down Treason TV or evildata.com or cryptocarnies.com. To slow down the ubiquitous idiot parade, where human lemmings do for real what Walt Sociopath Disney had to fake, leaping off a cliff for the leader, while centrists and lace-doily Dems surrender as fast as possible for civility until we treat American Nazis like original flavor Nazis. We are stuck singing pathetic echoes of anemic Happy Birthday to Your Creation tunes. No one remembers, or ever will, until we stop the lies at the source. Merrickuth Frothtard land will be forgotten as well. One day more. The world has moved on, as it is wont to do, and will do, whether we are free or slaves, or even turn ourselves into burning, glowing poison ash. But never forget, todays become tomorrows, and tomorrows will always be a today. Always. Do not ignore or forget the warning of our Cassandras. You must let your truth speak, the forbidden words by Emmit Other. Read the Necronomicon. Make a cult. Go ahead and chain the souls of your ancestors. Consume their souls. Know this is your truth. Have those souls with chocolate sauce. Add a cherry on top. Consume their souls. Save one or two. Reanimate them as ghosts. Wait, we have the Necronomicon. Personify your truth as a physical manifestation. Chain it to your will. Your truth moans in despair at the bloodshed. What is wrong with you, your truth says. So much, you whisper, licking your lips in satisfaction at the taste of soul. So much.
This has been the Tossing Grenades at Windmills podcast. Buy my book, Have Name Will Travel, at Amazon and other markets. RedAnvilCreative.com contains all our podcasts. Copyright
2022!
To fight the forces of evil!
Welcome to the Tossing Grenades at Windmills Podcast.
Welcome to the Tossing Grenades at Windmills Podcast.
Welcome to News of the Four Worlds.
Hello, I'm Robot 1.
Hello, I'm Robot 2.
So first, news from Earth.
Ukraine keeps kicking Putin's ass.
That is correct. Also, Putin is an ass. On Terra, Ukraine defeated the Russian army after they all fled due to fear of radiation poisoning. The entire world is pitching in to help both Russia now that they have defeated Putin and their entire army has windmill candor given by Earth's Donald Trump, and to help rebuild Ukraine.
There is still a greater threat.
It's true, on Earth, President Biden still has his head up his ass and refuses to make Garland go after Trump.
On Terra, President Charlie Brown, strangely roughly the same age as Biden, is finally asking Attorney General Peppermint Patty go after Taryn Trump.
There are enough people pissed at Taryn Trump over Earth Trump that they decided to look into his taxes and mafia ties, even though he never won the presidency on Tira.
They are also worried the Grand Old Fascist Party will destroy the Republic.
On Tira, because we suck at telling stories, we also suck at propaganda.
Our parties tend to be what they really are. For example, the Terran equivalent to Democrats is called the Confederation of Different Interests Party. The only thing holding them together is fear of the fascist party.
Why would anyone vote for someone who is so blatantly evil? It's like voting for the Cobra Commander Party or House Slytherin.
XX go figure.
More news as it comes. Good night.
And good luck.
This has been the Tossing Grenades at Windmills podcast. Buy my book, Have Name Will Travel, at Amazon and other markets. RedAnvilCreative.com contains all our podcasts. Copyright
2022! To fight the forces of evil!
Welcome to the Tossing Grenades at Windmills Podcast.
Hello, I'm Rhomnibus or Emmit Other, and I'm here to read you some poetry. Lazy Scammers by Emmit Other. I am hardly a con man. You won't catch me as an extra on the movie The Sting, but the sheer laziness of a certain land inhabited by an infinite supply of princes, each of whom promises a fortune if you lend them a reasonable sum. You don't have to be Solomon to know the net they are dragging of easy love and easy wealth is definitely at the shallow end of the gene pool. Is our married wanna kiss me now? Has the $1 million for free? Apparently hiring a copy editor or translator, or even using Google Docs with a dictionary, is against the code of crime. Social media by Emmit Other. I did Facebook. Burned my account to the ground with pleasure after we found out Zuckerberg is the most evil man in the world. I did Twitter. Burned my account to the ground in the crypto casino Carnival Jack built. In like Flynn with DeSantis, proof right before my eyes, no one cared. Then somehow, go jump in a lake is encouraging suicidal thought, and no one can hold them to account. So done. Now the nice man, my 10-minute mentor at the writing conference says, do TikTok and Goodreads. So I do a Goodreads giveaway, 21 books for free, not a single review, not one, not you rock, not you suck, absolute airball. So we came to TikTok, like YouTube and Twitter, have a demented crack, or it's like YouTube and Twitter had a demented crack baby. 15 seconds to prove your worth, hold your hands in the air and froth like a muppet. Almost no time to say anything or do anything with meaning. Show interesting places. What the hell does this have to do with reading? Silicon Valley is a blight. Why is there no Rotten Tomatoes for news by Emmit Other? Better the Razzies or the Ignobles. You only need 2 categories. One for infotainment media, basically true garbage like Fox, OAN, Politico, not real news. But another for, quote, serious, end quote, news channels like CNN or Meet the Press, with vapid talking heads who answer to no one but cocaine-snorting execs and cocaine-snorting producers and cocaine-snorting think tanks. Let's name and shame these Tokyo Roses complicit in the death of the Republic. The Ritual by Emmit Other. Every day, a component is added for a plethora of days. Not a plethora of piñatas, but days. The voice in the back of my head says that phenomenal cosmic power awaits, is right next to the voice that says, set yourself on fire. What the fuck am I feeding my damn wolves? And how do I stop doing that? thank you. I am wise enough to know that I probably am not the best choice of vast karmic imbuement, especially since, remarkably, I won't be able to shoot lasers out of my eyes. Indeed, probability states karmic deific endowment is likely a larger sense of self-entitlement to the first wolf as to what we're feeding it probably includes a bag labeled "my own farts." Hypothetically, you are one of 2 senators determined to kill the Republic. Hypothetically, you aren't worried, because you were very thoroughly bribed. Hypothetically, so you never plan to run for office again. What makes you think in 2025 that 80 million Americans, enslaved and enraged as the minority takes over with tanks mowing their loved ones on the streets, will your bribe make the rage of 80 million people, hypothetically, be worth it? Upsetting, enslaving, enraging 80 million Americans who can and will be eligible to purchase unlimited, unregulated NRA-sponsored firearms, hypothetically? Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. Dark Overlord. I am just as mortal as anyone else. One heart, one mind, an hourglass of sand, of only so many grains. Imagination is a wonderful thing, and the world is, to me, a shadow cornerstone of so many others. What if belief is not a numbers game, but simply one passion that means in the shadows between the panels, the world of maybe can be better than the world of is, because in my heart, I hang in the miasma between panels, the off-camera god of that which is not, and set things right, where justice can be real, where 1,000 petty assholes don't paper cut the higher truth we secretly believe is out there, by making the world of make-believe better than what it could be, without our frothing dark desires, killing it one acid drip at a time. Then the maybe can make the is better one raindrop at a time. As it inspires from the shadows of our realm, in that rainbow, in that twilight cloud, in the primeval forest before we burn it for paper, in the ad insert in the Sunday morning paper filled with lies we don't believe anymore. Demons in human form daily reach into imagination and pull forth the darkest mirror they can, and that echoes across every possible world. So from time to time I sheriff, with will and wisdom and moxie alone, and crush this darkness by faith alone, for whom I am as mortal as anyone else. If I believe harder than 1 billion demons, then my imagination and hope can counter theirs. Their imagination is limited, and mine is not. For by embracing truth, I can tell the difference between the worlds, thus achieving power over both. In this world, one man doing the best he can, and in the other, a vast avenging God, a hurricane of karmic vengeance. Who are you to say that I am not? There is a balance, and it is coming, setting the world aright. What goes around comes around. The arc of justice is long, but long is not infinite. The tomorrow of tomorrows is a light, not a candle snuff. I believe it, and daily work, through belief and deed, to make it so. To make it so. To make it so. Locking my Twitter account for 12 hours over
"And the people of Scotland elected the SNP. Go jump in a lake. Bye."
was not about lakes or Scotland or the SNP. It was about the Miami office and their annoyance at my exposure of how they lied and harassed Rebecca Jones and removed from Twitter for Ron DeSantis and the promise of crypto utopia in Miami, one of the most corrupt cities in one of the most corrupt states on earth. I deactivated my account. Cactus Barbie for 2024 by Emmit Other. Vacuous human fashion crime Kristen Sinema thinks in her little world she is presidential material, as if somehow she extorts dim votes thanks to her, they won't even be counted. And so now, voted most likely to be a Karen, class of 2000, will literally kill us all for lack of reading polling. President Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown is serious this time. He has given the speeches. He has rolled up his sleeves. He has made the he is serious face. And Lucy pulled the football from him. He could kick the ever-living crap out of her, but he won't. He is a good man. I investigated the obvious Russian bribery to Mansion and Cinema and the Traitor Party. Is hyperventilating slippery slope worthy? But if you don't save the Republic, there won't be anything left to slippery slope from. A lead weight to the soul. Depression is pain of mental and existential exhaustion, a shrouded filter of darkness that makes everything matter not at all. Largely conquered by me long ago, it was let out of a box recently by an egregious personal betrayal. It was patched with sunshine and rainbows, and I am blessed with only a few days here and there. But those days are the lost ones, and I do not lightly forget the cause of it. The hilarious next logical step. By Emmit Other. To Meth America, killing democracy is okay, because they secretly know that they are the minority, and do not acknowledge real America as legitimate. Donald MacDonald, the Orange Oompa Loompa, resurrected with his meaty demonic hand the pseudo-democracy of the Ku Klux Klan, except, and this is hilarious, even now, right at this moment, Frothtardland is splitting and picking DeSantis and others. And the first time they lose, they will declare a winner. But what about the next time? Even the cross-burning, hood-wearing South actually mostly counted the votes. Does Meth America forget how the, quote, establishment, end quote, tried to lock out Hamburger Eater? So what happens when the frothtard the elite want is different than the frothtard the mob wants? They will want their vote counted, and they will fight. And that is when that will be the real bloody American Civil War.
This has been the Tossing Grenades at Windmills podcast. Buy my book, Have Name Will Travel, at Amazon and other markets. RedAnvilCreative.com contains all our podcasts. Copyright
2022!
To fight the forces of evil!
Welcome to the Tossing Grenades at Windmills Podcast.
Welcome to the Tossing Grenades at Windmills Podcast. I'm Emmit Other / Rhomnibus, and I'll be reading some poetry for you. Why is there no Rotten Tomatoes for news? Better the Razzies or the Ig Nobles, you need two categories, one for infotainment media, you know, basically true garbage like Fox, OAN, Politico, not real news, but another for, quote, serious, end quote, news channels like CNN or Meet the Press, with vapid talking heads who answer to no one but cocaine-snorting execs and cocaine-snorting producers and cocaine-snorting think tanks. Let's name and shame these Tokyo Roses, complicit in the death of the Republic. Social Media by Emmit Other. I did Facebook, burned my account to the ground with pleasure after we found out Zuckerberg is the most evil man in the world. I did Twitter, burned my account to the ground in the crypto casino that Carnival Jack built, in like Flynn with DeSantis, proof right before my eyes, no one cared, then somehow go jump in a lake is
encouraging suicidal thoughts.
And no one can hold them to account. So done. Now the nice man, my 10-minute mentor, says, as the writing conference says, do TikTok and Goodreads. So I did a Goodreads giveaway. 21 books for free, not a single review, not one. Not you rock, not you suck, absolute airball. And so we come to TikTok. Like YouTube and Twitter had a demented crack baby. 15 seconds to prove your worth. Hold your hands in the air and froth like a muppet. Almost no time to say anything or do anything with meaning. Show interesting places. What the hell? Does this have something to do with reading? Silicon Valley is a blight. Lazy Scammers by Emmit Other. I am hardly a con man. You won't catch me as an extra in the movie The Sting. But the sheer laziness of a certain land inhabited by an infinite supply of princes, each of whom promises a fortune if you lend them a reasonable sum. You don't have to be Solomon to know the net they are dragging of easy love and easy wealth is definitely at the shallow end of the gene pool.
I is married. Want to kiss me now? Has $1 million for free.
Apparently, hiring a copy editor or a translator, or even using Google Docs with a dictionary, is against the code of crime. Germany Drops the Ball by Emmit Other. For a century, Prussia, or Germany, i.e. basically Prussia with the serial numbers filed off, was the black hat of Europe. They started wars, they opposed democracy, they were not nice people. Fascism reached its prime here. They got their asses handed to them, and Germany woke up, and for 80 years became the good guys, building Europe, championing peace, standing up for refugees, championing democracy, championing unions, championing green renewable power. And in the world's darkest hour, as fascism came from the east, instead of from within, Germany writes off Ukraine. They snoot their puffy, fat little blonde noses in the air and say we were bad for a century and good for near a century, and now we can be dicks again. We did our time, and if democracy will last, if Russia takes Ukraine, as if Europe will listen to them, after we write off Ukraine for cheap gas. Author's note. That was written before Germany actually got with the program. The End of the Moral Majority by Emmit Other. Sitting here, watching Imagine, and we got to the part where John and Yoko get into an argument with Reverend Throthard of the Holy Congregation of Sanctimonious Assholes, and he is Fox News before Fox News. And looking back from the future, you know all the people howling about Jesus don't care about Jesus or family values. We see it now. Howler monkeys throwing human feces in the Capitol, wiping their asses on our Constitution. Charlie Brown is right. They stand for nothing. They are nothing. They have no moral authority, and they know it. So they have to point a gun at our head and make us comply, because democracy is not for losers like them. The Lance of Shadows by Emmit Other. Abandoned in a cobwebbed enclave, a hapless peasant grabbed a weapon of a long-dead night, echoes spilling off the corridors, laughter spewing like liquid venom from unseen walls. Grabbed it in the grip of the damned, the bearer found themselves atop a steed of shadow and sulfur, onyx and bile, thick billowing whispers in miasmas, killing light in a trillion tiny traps, flowing from the barrow like a force of nature. The bandits our small refugee had sought refuge from, thrust about like hapless leaky ninepins, torn asunder by a cosmic vengeance they could not understand. Kraken lavender lightning pealed across the sky, answered by heraldic thunder in the heavens. This was the beginning of a beautiful friendship. It Happened by Emmit Other. 6 million people were murdered in factory fashions. Other genocides have happened. Others, unfortunately, will happen. But the Holocaust is a unique horror, for turning murder into a cold industry of state. It happened due to complacency. It happened due to dehumanization. It happened because other nations stood by and let it happen. And now, even now, there are people desperately trying to pretend it didn't. There are far more engaged in the wholesale dehumanization, even larger than the one that caused the Holocaust. Some of those involved in those lies even trace direct descendants from the survivors. There is no denying this. The ugly truth of fascism is that it leads to murder, and so by ignoring it, or accepting it, You are cracking the door for it to happen again, made more ironic by the fact that no one is quicker to dig up the dead of those 6 million murder victims and wear a yellow star and parade around like they are just the Holocaust victims themselves than the current fascists working night and day to recreate the circumstances that let it happen the first time. When you side with fascists, you side with death.
This has been the Tossing Grenades at Windmills podcast. Buy my book, Have Name Will Travel, at Amazon and other markets. RedAnvilCreative.com contains all our podcasts. Copyright
2022!
To fight the forces of evil!